Join us for an enlightening experience where you will gain a deeper understanding of the purpose and essence of opening your eyes. This is your chance to enhance self-awareness and personal growth with a shift in perception that provides a fresh outlook on life. Embrace the journey from consciousness to superconsciousness. Coming live by Barrett Kunyan.
Well, who do we have here?
How you doing?
Brother Dean Willis. Well, it's an honor, brother.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for coming and bringing your beautiful presence with Activator. Yeah, I mean, I've never had, well, we kind of touched base not that long ago, and I just felt your energy and the calling, and here we are. And brother, this is an opportunity to introduce yourself to our listeners out there, and if you're comfortable, which I'm sure you are, if you can give a relatively brief profile, your background, your current situation, and your flow, what you're doing at the moment, and we'll take it from there. Okay, because this is a conversation, so
yeah,
we'll pick it up how we feel.
Nice and free flow. So I'll just have to apologize to the audience if I start coughing a little bit as well. I'm just going through some release of and the energy's coming in at the moment. So if I start coughing a little bit through the interview, just bear with me a little bit. Yeah, my name's Dean Willis. I've been on my journey now for at least 8 years, and dealing and working with self, really. Everything I've been through and everything I've gone through has been brought through by self to move through levels of my own consciousness and my own blockages and my own areas of things that I've been trying to avoid in myself. I'm not facing myself. I went through a dark night, very much went into a very deep, dark space in myself, which was a beautiful place to be, a beautiful place to start. And then started to let go of the stories and the beliefs and the things from the constructs that I've created inside of myself. And then was sort of guided to do things that at that beginning stage I wasn't aware of what I was fully doing, but was listening to some nudges from within that was sort of guiding me a little bit blind, let's say, but just listening to it and moving through it. And then I was involved in the law system, as many of us have been as well. My son's mum didn't want me to be around my son, took me into the courtroom, and it became a system. It became a fight between me and the system, not really between me and his mum. The more knowledge I gained, the more understanding I had, the more they came at me strong. But in hindsight, when I observe it, I was going in there for the experience, to let go of the hurt and the anger and the frustration that was buried deep inside of me in this area, and just went at it and allowed the release from myself and allowed myself to go through that process. Also, understanding I'm free. I'm a free sovereign soul, and the energetics from the physical vessel was dissolved, let's say, and then I started to walk and embody in sovereignty, with nobody outside of self needs to tell me what to do and how to live and how to be. Finding more of my essence. Yeah.
Can I just quickly throw a question?
Yeah.
Thank you. Beautiful. I was going to say, when you say free, what do you feel set you free? What experience or what situation really helped you?
Fully understanding and embodying the truth of what it was.
Truth.
That set me free. It's a truth. It's the truth of once I fully understood that the judge is just an actor. And once I knew how to help, once I found the strength inside me to go in there and to control that room and control that judge and control everything about it, and get that judge out of that room 3 times, my energetics became free. There was no fear around this area anymore. There was still the ego, still wanting to fight, still wanting to beat them at that time, but the energetics within my body, the moment I left that room, it was like, you can't do nothing to me now, because I know the truth and I know how to use that truth against anybody that's coming in to attack me.
That's beautiful.
But honestly, I was still going through my egoic state in that moment, saying that I'm going to beat you. No. And it was me. I wanted to take on the whole system and take on the whole establishment, but I was just fighting me and the anger and the hurt inside myself. Oh.
When you use this word fear, okay, who, in your opinion, created that fear?
I created that fear.
Why? Why do you think you created that fear?
Well, there's many areas, there's many aspects of what's going on out there that has created subconsciously all these fears and these belief systems. Part of it has been let's say an entire programming from the powers that be and school and many other areas of my life. But if I truly get down to the nitty-gritty of it, it was me. It's all me that's creating the fear. And that fear could have come from something that could have occurred in my life. I'm literally going through my journey to go through my experience to break through these fears. And at that time, I didn't realize that, you know. At that time, it was more of a case of waking up to an entire system of truth. All of a sudden, I'm starting to view it and observe everything. And I'm starting to see aspects that is not appropriate for any soul, especially my own soul and my own child and my own situation. But really, it was breaking through my limitations from within me. I was putting limitations on my thoughts, in what I believed, in what I knew, you know. And it was me that's doing it. There was nobody else doing that. I was holding on to stories. I was holding on to somebody telling me that this is the truth. I was holding on to beliefs that came from others. It didn't necessarily come from me.
Thank you for that. Do you still feel that you're still in a program that's turning right now? Do you still feel that something is still rotating and you're in it? Or do you feel when we talk about freeing our mind or whatever we want to describe, are we still in this box or are we out of the box, or what's happening?
At this point, I know nothing.
Okay.
I can observe everything, and I stay in full observation mode of all and everything that comes into my awareness, because I can't say that this is the truth and this is not the truth.
Okay.
Because I don't fully know. But there's elements of the whole creation and the whole experience that everyone's going through that I can sort of see is just control.
Okay.
Control is where I observe it from. I look at it, it's an observation of control. The system's controlling people. The law system's controlling people. The stories are controlling people. Other people's stories out there are controlling people's consciousness instead of finding it for oneself by observation. I just sit in observation mode at all times, and at no point do I step out of observation.
That's beautiful, brother. And I take it if one is not in that viewpoint, there is a good and bad aspect involved. Like,
is it good or bad? Is it good or bad if you look at a larger perspective of this is a great awakening where everybody has to go through this process? So if you observe it and expand it out, is there good or bad? Because there has to be the dark element for us to go through this process. Somebody has to play the role, let's say, of the bad, let's say our perception of the bad person. But can we observe it further of that role on the grand scheme of things for the whole collective? So as I went through, it just starts to expand and expand and expand further each time. It just keeps going more and more and more. The more I stop judging another, the more I stop judging a situation, the more I just observe there is more to see than just my emotional state of viewing it.
Do you feel that one has brought certain, different levels of awareness into some kind of alignment? So your observation, seeing yourself from, because I was going to use a particular word here, because again, it could be a story, because people throw in the word holographic implants, technologies. So do you want, implants, very interesting word, because, we play with words, don't we? Things can get into our minds and it feels real, but is it true? So there is an interpretation involved in this. So I take it that no two souls are the same, if that's agreed or not agreed. Every soul is interpreting the experience that they're having based on their unique ability to read energies and to siphon information. So it's a case of like how much of what you can understand and see and feel. This is very interesting. Do you feel that there is a very powerful evolutionary state? Do you feel that consciousness is expanding, and do you feel that the planet, whether we call it Mother Earth, Gaia, people have different labels to define a particular planet or situation? Do you feel in your heart that if we just stick to the words Mother Earth, do you feel that Mother Earth is expanded or has expanded to a much higher level of consciousness? And are we going with her?
I agree. I would say definitely Mother Earth is going through this journey, and it's begun in 2012. And for myself, I've been going through that journey, that conscious journey, the letting go, the expansion of awareness, the much more it expands. And then when you said there in regards to what we put into our souls, we're responsible. I am responsible. Nobody's putting anything into my soul. I am choosing to allow that to be put into my soul. I can step away from viewing that if that's not what I wish to view. But if I carry on viewing it, that responsibility lies with me.
Okay.
And if I can expand on a little bit in regards to people and where they are in their soul journey, everybody is going through their experience, an experience that they have chosen. And if they choose to go to friction, if they choose to go to experience, that's their choice. That's a soul's choice. Every soul has that choice to make.
Yes. Coming to another word or words, let's see. We're just going to play with a few words here. Timelines. How does that sit with you? Are there different timelines which are happening simultaneously? And if your consciousness grows and you become more conscious and act and in the present, and we create some kind of field, being in the now moment, what happens to the timeline? So if you bring yourself present where, like you were saying, from your own personal observation in terms of how you made peace with your past, and you feel that I'm so anchored, I'm so grateful that I'm conscious of myself now, that I'm not going to buy necessarily certain stories anymore, and I'm very much aligned. So do you need to be aware of the future? Or where is the future? Is that because, yeah, take it away, brother. I mean,
So for
how?
me, like in the sense of timeline aspects of what's going on out there, I'm in my own experience at this moment, and the only experience that matters is the freedom for all.
Okay.
And I'm flowing into that space of bringing that, as are many other divine brothers that are guardians of GPMS, and giving people the opportunity to just to see that for themselves, that freedom that they must intrinsically bring to self before. And in the timelines that are going on out there in the world, I observe certain things, little things, but I don't want to observe too much. In my timeline, there's no friction, there's no negativity. It's just a place of being at this precise moment, just allowing me myself to go through, let's say, some more layers that need to dissolve, like this interview. I'm dissolving in this moment some underlining little fears that occur within me. I don't like using the words. It's just feelings, just the feelings from within of uncomfortability, and moving through it, you know. So the timeline, there's only one timeline for me, and that's a timeline that all will accept for themselves, and that's freedom, and that's love, that's compassion, that's abundance. That's the only timeline that I see, and that's the only timeline that I'm in. But I observe, because I have the ability to observe what's going on a little bit out there, but just observation. I don't feel for anything. I just like to see the movie play out a little bit. I'm intrigued a little bit. I find it quite fascinating when I meet individuals and their uniqueness and their purposes and aspects of who they are that they're bringing through for humanity as well. So I tend to observe timelines of people a little bit more, because I find us all very fascinating and very beautiful, and I really appreciate and I'm so grateful for the uniqueness to us all. So timelines of negativity, I've chose in myself to not participate, because I don't need to. Because I don't need to go through any sort of experience, or I don't need to go through anything to help me find the space within. But many times before, for 2 or 3 years, I would go out and go for the experience that would push me inside and to find self. You know, every experience that I chose to walk into was guiding me to self from within. And many people are going out there and doing that for self at the moment. And there's no judgment from me in what they're doing. Their soul's making that choice, what's right for them. For me, I made that choice. Now I choose not to. I switch it all up.
That's beautiful, bro. That's beautiful, and that sits very comfortably with me as well. And because every action might have a reaction.
There you go.
And my sitting is neutral. Of course, the temptation's always there, you know, to take sides. But when you understand the platform in which things are happening, you know, you see the bigger picture. It gets a lot more activated in your head what really it's about. You mentioned something. Was it GPMS?
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah. I mean, are you involved in this? I mean, can you tell me your involvement? I mean, how you got to know UPS?
So along my journey, I've been guided to do different things in the sense of activations on the planet, activations in certain countries, guidance from inside self. Especially at the beginning, I didn't know where that was coming from. I just had a knowing I had to do these things. A little bit further along, I understood what was occurring and what was doing, and there was many more, hundreds of thousands on the planet doing this work. Many people don't know that this work's been going on because they're still looking outside of self and what's going on in the chaos and the experiences they're going through. So I was guided, let's say, towards this. I was also guided towards GPMS very, very early doors, but I was stuck between two paradigms. I was taking on the system in the courts and trying to fight for my child, and then on the other side, I saw GPMS. I saw it. It already resonated with my heart frequency. Everything about it is what every soul deserves. So I'd already signed up, but I didn't get fully involved because I still needed to go through for some experience, which was fighting the system, as many are still doing. And it wasn't me fighting the system thinking that I was gonna win. It was my ego. It was just me wanting to beat them. You're hurting me and I'm gonna hurt you.
Yeah.
You're Mr. Judge, you're hurting my child. Now I'm going to hurt you. And I was just needed to go through that experience and push through the pain and push through the grief and the anger I had towards his mum, the judges, all them other people, to find love, to find understanding, to find, especially for my son's mum, you know, to find much more love for her in regards to what she's gone through in her life. Not just what I've gone through in my life, you know, what we've all gone through in our lifetimes, but we have to go through a process to release that anger, to release that hurt. So I didn't really fully, I'd already signed GPMS, but I didn't fully get involved with the knowing of of my purpose. That's part of my purpose in being a guardian to GPMS and to walk that path with many other beautiful souls that are ready to walk that path in freedom for themselves. So I wouldn't say that I'm just the same leader as every other soul that's involved in GPMS, who's standing in their sovereignty and their power and leading themselves.
Yeah.
And making that choice from a moral standing from within. What do I want? I want freedom for all. I want love and abundance for all. I don't want people to be manipulated and controlled in any way. I don't wish to manipulate and control any being. And I'm certainly not going to allow others to do that to me. So it's a level of awareness that I already had, let's say, inside my soul.
That's beautiful, bro.
And I just had to wait a little bit and go through some experience before I fully tuned into that aspect of it. And now I'm walking on the planet with many beautiful divine beings, as we all are, standing in our sovereignty and our own freedom and leading ourselves and supporting humanity by allowing them to see that this solution is here.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you use the word guardian. I mean, that's because I've seen a few modalities out there. I don't mean to mention Nazara, Jazara, and all that stuff, but what I feel with GPMS is we talk about energy, vibration, and frequency, and I feel can it be described as a vehicle that raises your game to become more aware, more conscious, to know that you don't actually own anything. Because for me personally, although I am very blessed, for example, I own a plot of land and a house and trees, but I see myself to actually, I feel that I'm a custodian, a guardian. I've always felt that in my heart. And that's why I'm very welcoming, because I'm able to share the space. So I got that spontaneously when I came across GPMS, and also when I had the honor of meeting Rick Dewars and Lee Madway. And I must say, they certainly raised my game and frequency. and fortunately, I didn't have a lot of blockages because I have been in nature and I've been able to reactivate parts of me. But I certainly, it's an honor to participate and also welcome the guardianship of GPMS. So I'm really excited about the prospects of what's happening. Now,
just on that note,
yeah.
we are all guardians of this planet.
Yes.
Right now, GPMS is an instrument. The website is an instrument. It's just
Right.
collecting the voice of the people.
Yeah.
We are all guardians of all of it. Everything on this planet we are the guardianshippers. But we are giving this guardianship to others that don't have our best interests at heart, that use it to manipulate and control us all.
Yeah.
And then they take that intrinsic value out of each of us. So once you step into your own sovereignty and your own power and your own divineness, you take that back.
Yeah, I mean, if
and we walk together as one. We walk together as one. But there's also another aspect to this that many people don't see, and the only reason they're seeing it or thinking this is Lee and Rick. Lee and Rick are just guardians of this, the same as every other soul. They're not leaders. They're not leading us. They're leading themselves as the same as I'm leading myself, as the same as all the other divine beings and divine souls in this that are leading themselves by standing up and making a choice. First, the choice. What do I want? And after that, they find their power to take that forward. For myself, I've found the power of taking it forward, walking into rooms full of 100 people and not feeling anything. But in the aspect of the interview role, I had found it quite difficult because of something that was underlining that needed to that I needed to move through, and now I have.
Yeah.
So now there'll be more faces and more voices standing up in their sovereign power and helping support humanity to find it and make that choice for themselves.
Yeah. Do you feel? I mean, my observation, you know, I'm interested in your observation too. Is the fact that nothing needs to collapse, right? It's just a change, a subtle change of consciousness and how we view things. So once you get into that frequency, that gives you that ability to stop the programming that was there. And because the way I say things, if there was a trigger or if there is a trigger, I would welcome it from the point of view it's highlighting something that I need to work on myself.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be, and I've had many triggers in my past now, and I'm very grateful because where I am at the moment, had it not been for those triggers, I wouldn't be in this place of I'm not saying comfort as in like, look at me from ego, I've got this, I've got that, but be in that state of calmness, stillness,
peace,
and peace. Forward, peace of mind. And I'm sure we're on the same page with this, because I do it now more super consciously, leaving wonderful impressions. Because like when you're consciously leaving footprints behind, people do come up to you, don't they? And they question, you know, they're not looking at the superficiality aspect of who you are. They're feeling a certain energy that's within yourself, and they are looking at that model, if you like. Words can be a bit tricky, but they're looking within, and they like what they feel, and they want more of that.
on that frequency aspect, many are still looking outside of self at this precise moment, still following others, still believing the stories, the narratives, even though the stories keep getting used over and over and over again. There's got to be a point where the logical mind goes, come on. But many should be tuning into the frequency of self from within. What does that feel like? What does what that person spoke to, what does it feel like in me? Does it make me feel negative? Does it push me? Does it bring anger to the forefront? Is it a mirror? Is it something that I am seeing in myself? But until we fully go inside self and truly observe all these feelings, before this interview I was sat here for about half an hour. First interview I've done live, but I've done interviews before on the ground, and I can feel these little feelings and these little anxieties, and it's okay, so where's that coming from? It's sitting with them feelings. It's sitting with that uncomfortable feeling inside. And we should be using this more when we're listening to people. We should be using this at all times. This is the point of where we need to go to fully within our consciousness and expand the awareness to observation of everything. But while we keep running around and rushing around and viewing things that put negativity into ourselves, we keep avoiding ourselves. And this is part of the agenda of the mass, is to keep people running around headless chickens and giving their powers away to other souls, to other people. Can you not sit inside self and work out and make decisions from your own observation of you? But there's no judgment in that, we've all done it. I've done it just the same as everybody else. Nobody's any different to any other soul. We're all going through these different experiences, but it's a layer, and then there's another layer, there's another layer, there's another layer. And we just keep moving upwards. But if you're not putting 100% into yourself and keep looking outside of self, it's going to be a little bit more of a slower process.
Thank you for sharing that. From my own perspective, when things were more comfortable before, it's because I was putting my mindset into an uncharted territory, somewhere where I've never been before. But how my operating system is very, very clear. I treat people the way I treat myself. So within my vessel, within myself, what's going on, how evasive are my thoughts, what is my intention? And it's love, okay? And is it from profit? Is it from, do I want to gain something? So when that illusion shatters and that feeling of abundance, that feeling of being peace and connected and understanding the essence of one's unique spiritual evolution, does life get easier? Does it get more challenging? Well, it certainly gets a lot more interesting, because in terms of feedback, because some people might find it still uncomfortable to accept what is behind the veil, shall we say. So it's perfectly fine to get uncomfortable, because I genuinely believe it is that element of not being comfortable at times that brings about change, So, I applaud people who sort of, they get out of their comfort zones, if you like, and put themselves out. So that, I'm very blessed, because that was because we all have certain skill sets that was within myself from a very young age. That's why I did pretty well in sales, because I wasn't your typical salesperson. I wouldn't sell something knowing that you don't need it. Because I come from the platform of value building rather than value destroying, and I needed to understand, I need, for my psyche as well, do you really need this? So being a value builder, I would be asking, why is that important? So you'd ask dynamic questions for my own sanity, for my own peace of mind. You know, why do you need, are you keeping up with the Joneses? Or, you know, I need to understand the sanity, the if you are, you're making an informed choice or not. So, but really the skill is to create a comfortable environment so people can come into that zone to feel relaxed, really. And, you know, you sell it to yourself, kind of thing. You know, you start seeing the clarity of what is playing out. But it's very, very interesting to see how things are panning out at the moment, because there is an energy, there is a certain frequency where, you know, whether we call the Schumann resonance, again, it's a story a bit, but something is picking up, and people are becoming more conscious and beginning to question everything. Whereas, you know, there was a time people would think that there was freedom and sovereignty and good journalism, and now we're beginning to understand that whether again, it's a story, it's mafias or whatever, and, you know, big pharma and stuff like that. So there are certain exercises one can do to bring about balance. For example, you can take greater ownership and responsibility and control by being more aware of what you put inside yourself. For example, I, again, very blessed that I have an area that I grow my own food, you know, so I know what's going into the spectrum of what I'm producing. So do you feel that people should be a bit more looking into what's going into the so-called production of something?
Well, let's go back to the moral compass side. So yes, I believe we've all got this moral compass, and we've always had this moral compass from a very young age, but it's been distorted on many layers throughout our life in different ways. You know, aspects of self, of victimism, and all these other areas of it. I wouldn't like to go into certain areas with it. And we've all believed that we were all perfect and we were all good and we were all at a pure heart. But when you dig deep into yourself, you know, you might find aspects that is not out of alignment with the true essence of who you are. And how do you know who you are if you don't go inside and try to find that and expand that? You know, I'm a good person, but we say, like, let's look at for sitting there and observing children dying of starvation. I say I'm a good person and I wouldn't let that, but I'm sat there observing it thinking that's appropriate. It's not appropriate in my heart. So there's levels inside of me that, okay, I might be masking something here. I might think I care, but I need to dig deeper into it within myself on all these layers. All of these layers, and it just keeps going. You've got to keep moving and keep going through the process from within, because I can't give you the answers to who you are, and you can't give the answers to who I am. But we keep looking outside of self. Oh, well, I've got an answer now I'm going to teach the world and tell everybody else what to do. Really? But what if you haven't got the full answer? What if you've got a answer, and what if that answer only relates to you? So why do we keep avoiding ourselves? And I struggled with this just as much as everybody else is struggling with it. There's no judgment. I couldn't sit still. I couldn't sit there and just be. We're all equal in this. We're all the same. We're all moving through. I'm just saying to you, my mind is free. There's no chatter. Unless I spend more time in observation. And what I've done, as have many have done, everybody can do too, if they choose to, if they make a choice to sit and be. Just do nothing and sit and observe every aspect and every feeling that comes up. Observe your moral compass, because I wouldn't say quite now that I'm fully finished. There's always work to do and move forward with. So I'll just sit and be.
Do you feel? Thank you for sharing that. Do you feel that there is a kind of like a fairly universal objective, if we use the word humanity? Do you feel that humanity was? I mean, again, it's a story.
So the
And many
universal objective was. I'll ask you the question. What do you think the universal objective is?
to know thyself, to understand the essence of your journey.
Love.
Hmm.
So
But
on this aspect of self and being, what's grown out of me and expanded and is continuously expanding out of me is love.
okay, with okay. I mean, I'm not going to go into the. I was tempted to say, because there are situations where there is false illusions out there, and people can be misguided.
But
I'm not going to go into that because there's a lot of division there.
but
Whether we,
if I choose, but not in my experience. I've
Mhm.
chose that's their experience.
Yeah.
I know that every soul is going through their experience,
Hmm.
and I've chose to switch off them outside of self. So whatever experience is going on out there with whatever souls, whatever it is, it's just an experience that the soul needs to go through.
Yeah.
I'm not focusing on any of their experiences because why would I need to? I don't need to focus on their experience. I need to focus on freedom for all with love and support souls. If a soul comes into my awareness, maybe with my perspective and observation. So I can't do much more than that, than give them an observation to allow the soul or any soul to observe what I've said and see if that observation brings more clarity for them or not. Outside of self and what's going on, really, it's not much. There's not much going on for me. All I see is in a free, abundant world.
Can you um, can you define when you say is it important to visualize when you say freedom? Is it important to see, to create a certain vision?
Well, it's
Um,
not just to create it; it's also to walk it.
mm,
I'm free. I'm free everywhere I go. Right now, I'm in the line with nature. I'm free. I'm free with it from within inside my soul. There's a beautiful, a freedom, abundant world here. It's just not going on in other experiences right now because people are going through their experience that they're choosing to go through instead of standing in their sovereign soul and making that choice of freedom. But that freedom must expand to all. It can't be just a freedom for self. I'm going to go and sit in a little community with my friends and we're just going to grow vegetables and look after self. That's maybe your choice, but in my reality, that's not my choice. Freedom doesn't come until every soul on this planet is free. And then I can't interfere with the free will of any soul. A soul has to make that choice for themselves. Who am I to interfere and tell them what they should have? They should have what they choose. What do you want? Do you want freedom? Do you want abundance? So what are you going to do to let go of the stories and the experiences and everything out there and stand here with self and go, this is what I want?
I suppose for some people, it may be difficult to switch off, especially if their operating system is from fear and not love.
Mm-hmm.
So once you've replaced fear with love, and presumably, not I know that, but we're just, making some listeners understand as well, because there is an opposing polarity. So it's like black, white, male, female. So once you bring things into balance, you've got this clarity. You can understand, and you become more empathetic because because it begins with self. So you're vibrating. you know, it's a projection, right? So
Mhm.
one is projecting, um, um, because, like Rick once said to me, truth is not constant.
Mhm.
It's expanding. So, like consciousness is expanding.
Mhm.
So, it's marvelous. So we are very powerful beings to we are, aren't we? It's just that the program that was there did a perfect job. Thank you for that. But when you come out of that and then you see yourself, you know, you're an almighty being.
Every soul on this planet, every soul is a divine being. The journey is finding that from within. And how long is it going to take for you to let go of all that and all the stories and all the
Okay.
experiences and start to find and dig deep into self?
My own biggest personal challenge, brother Dean, if I may, because I'm also open source, I'm transparent. Um, Two really powerful things, because I've been under the umbrella of, because you know, around me, like words like sickness,
Mhm.
and the other one is the old cliche, death,
Mhm.
which they're illusions, right? Because am I healing myself, or because these are sickness is a form of implants? So you're kind of feeling your way, yeah, because this sickness exists, or is it just a blockage of energy? That's it. Because when you buy into the narrative, which was doing a superb job making you feel that this illusion is so real, you know, look at certain beings around you, many stories, you know, this is happening, that, so it's there to terrorize you. So it's made to look so real that you buy into these narratives. But once you wake up from that process, um, one doesn't condemn it, right? One
No.
doesn't say no, because it's a mechanism that it's the real true currency. Because for me, it's energy. And when we use words like manipulate, some people say there's a bit of a negative stigma, you know. But we have to learn how to manipulate energy. You know, you know. Do you do something good with it? When we manipulate something? Do you do good? Do you do bad? Is there a thing called good? Is there a thing called bad? Or is it just it's a balance? Because
Or always stop doing anything. Just let people be and go through their processes in all ways, in all
so
aspects. We're letting go of each other.
yeah.
We're allowing each other to be and stand in our own power, make our own choices in all levels. Every experience you've been through, you went through that experience because there was something to learn from that experience. And that's the same for every soul. Every soul is going through their experience, and it's dark and it hurts and all these different areas of it, but you'll come through the other side being so grateful with so much love for the whole experience. So why
Mm.
wouldn't you want to keep pushing into them experiences? You know, like when you talk to like sickness, you know, that wasn't in my awareness all my life, Barrett. You know, I never had that in my awareness, and I wasn't ill like immensely like a lot of others, you know. At school, you know, when I was at school, I just didn't pay attention to any of it. They tried to program me or whatever. It felt distorted when I was a young man, and I just didn't allow it in. The moment I believe personally for myself, my schooling begun the moment I left school and went out into the world and traveled and was free and learned community, learned family, learned so many other more, much more rewarding things. You know, I felt more like I was talking to a brother last night. I felt more love and more heart in countries that people would say are like third world countries, but I felt so much more of the real soul essence in these countries to my own country and other countries that I've been to that are a little bit more westernized. So it's a perception of it all, really. Everybody's gone through their experiences and the things that they struggle to let go of, and mine personally, for myself, was an aspect of ego and a very much and loving self. That was the big one for me, really loving myself. It's real struggle for me going through, but I appreciate that many others are going through different kinds of experiences and different lessons for them to learn, but they're meant to be going through that. You're meant to go through that. I'm meant to go through this. So can't we just step back and let people go through their experiences they need to go through and let them be, and not worry so much about everything outside of self and just concentrate on self? Because there's layer after layer of this, and I've stripped layer, and there's probably more layers for me to come, just the same as everybody else. We're all equal, we're all the same. It's just we have to do this, and everyone's going to do this. Do you want to go through with resistance, or do you just want to observe and let go of it?
So when you let go of everything, you're just going with the flow of the energy. You're not going against the flow. You're going with the flow, and that's coming to my next question, if I may. Mm-hmm. Although I intuitively feel I feel the answer of what it's going to be, but where do you think you'll be this time next week?
I don't know.
Yeah,
and that's okay, and that's the beauty of it. That's beautiful when you really observe that.
Yeah,
letting go of the control. That's a hard one for me as well. That was a difficult one for me. Control of money and control of all these aspects of work and having and all the rest. But once you let go, you see the beauty of the universe, the interactions of people that come into your awareness, and just there. And you start to view it as nothing's by chance. You start to really see the beauty of all of this. And maybe I've only seen a perspective that maybe Brother Rick or Lee can see even more over there, or somebody else can see over here a little bit more. That's why I love to interact with beautiful souls and their purpose and what they've been guided to, because I see things in everybody that's just beautiful. It's a gift. I feel at this moment I've been gifted, and I'm excited about what I'm walking through to and just allowing.
That's powerful, because that's how my day begins, with gratitude and the awe and the ecstasy of understanding my essence and how I stand with myself. There's a powerful word, with reference to relationships, because obviously it begins with self first, to understand yourself, and then you just go with the flow and see, because it's interesting times, because if I said to the word tribe, what does that mean to you? Do you feel that it's important? Because the powers that were before, which is all a story, they had divisions and flags and countries and languages, which can create distortion. It creates separateness, and people get defensive. But if you're going with the flow, and do you have this vision that I'm quite happy to share my vision, because I don't see distortion from the perspective of border controls, because that control mechanism dissolves in my mind. I don't see governments. Why do people need to govern people? That's I don't see that either.
Because there's an element of they don't want to leave themselves. They'd rather give it to somebody else to do that for them. There's an element of that. There's an element of they don't feel like they have the ability to do so.
I got you.
But also that word tribe you've just said there, you know, along my journey, I have soul family. I've met people I know 100% and feel the most comfortable with that I've never been in my life. I just know them. But then there's also a level of what the word tribe.
Mm-hmm.
Every soul on this planet is my tribe. Even the souls that are choosing not to step through their fears and their anger and their hurt and doing distorted things to everybody, they're still my tribe. We are all connected. We are all one. And I fully believe that from within, inside of me, on every level. There's no one above me and I'm not above anybody. We are all equal. We're just struggling to learn how to communicate with each other in a loving, respectful way. But we won't have that problem because once you keep going from within, you'll find more of the answers from within yourself, which will expand more of the love. So we'll be able to sit with each other because we will. And we'll sit together as a whole, the entire planet, and make decisions moving forward together. Not governments. You deserve to have an opinion. So does every soul on the planet. But we keep giving our power away to people, believing they have our best interests at heart when they really don't. It's simple. It's as simple as, why do I vote a government official where I can sit in my home and vote?
That's beautiful. I mean, do you feel it's to simplify things? Do you feel when we talk about non-compliance, for example, we're talking about energy, right? We're talking about, are we also talking about taxes, for example? Does one have to do something like a physical exercise? Like, I will not sponsor anymore certain organizations because it doesn't resonate with me anymore. Is it as simple as that? Is it like saying, but I'll give you it's not a silly example. I'll give you this analogy, if I may. For example, I'm not going to pay my TV license anymore because I don't believe that this is great journalism. So I will not watch it. Is it as simple as that? And if it is, why are people not doing this at the moment? Do you think that, again, it's a story? We could argue, well, there was a mind control system, because a lot of people use these scapegoats, you know, but Barrett, there's these frequencies running, you know, and it's manipulating us. Really? Okay, all right. Could be. I don't feel it, but it might be. It could be for someone else, that one. I'm not trying that. But is it plausible that there was, like David Icke did a fantastic one with many years ago. He talked about the Saturn ring and how it was influencing the moon, being a satellite, and it was sending negative influences on the Earth. And then it all ended at that point of 2012, of the end of the Gregorian calendar, which is all about genocides, menicides, and things, and introduction. But again, it's another story.
Just a story.
It's just a story. So you empower. Yeah. If I say, yeah, that's true, that's what I'm going to experience.
So why don't we just stop experiencing everybody's story, everybody's words? You will find the answer from within inside you. Every soul will find the answers inside themselves. Why do you need me to tell you? And what if I tell you something that is not your essence?
Yeah.
Why are you allowing other people's perspectives, stories, journey to interfere with your essence? I can give a perspective. And when you give me a perspective, Barrett, I will observe that perspective. But I don't take it for face value, and I don't take it at absolute truth. I observe it. And by being in the observation space, I can allow myself to expand to seeing maybe a little bit more from what you're saying, or maybe not. But if we can't even sit and we keep holding on to these stories and other people, we keep allowing others to interfere with my story, my understanding of what's right. And then also, why am I allowing others to? Why do I think everybody else should govern over me? Why am I giving my power? Why am I allowing myself to give my power away to any soul, to anybody? I could sit there and maybe agree with her perspective, but what we don't realize is we're giving our power away to somebody else's story.
Why do you think we
Why don't
do?
we find the story from within ourselves?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many stories out there. I mean, the ones that, and now I question it. I question it from the so you know, when we talk about the universe, the omniverse, the multiverse, then there's so many planets. There's so many stars when you look out into the sky. But really, hand on heart, I don't know.
There you go.
Unless you go there and you see, it's like, does Alaska exist? Well, someone might show me a map and they've labeled a certain part of Mother Earth. That's Alaska area. Does it exist? I don't know. I've never been there unless I go there and I physically see it. But then it's a label. Whose label is that? Someone said that's Alaska, but is it really Alaska?
But this is where I'm saying, but we all find the answers that are very much the same from within.
Okay.
And what you're doing is you're dismissing your own intuition, your own knowing. There's aspects of information that will come through to you and your soul that is unique for you in this moment or in that moment. But you keep dismissing that and keep looking outside. Oh, he has the answer. He has the answer. No. None of them have the answer. You have to find the answer from within self. And the place to be is silent and still, of full observation of self. But we keep wanting to. It's not that all the people out there with the different stories, they're just playing out their role. It's not their fault. It's my fault. If you own and are accountable for everything within yourself, nothing outside of you is your fault. It's all mine. It's their fault. It's my fault. The way I feel, the way I observe, the way I see it, the way I listen. It's all mine. The only person I'm responsible for is myself. But what you might find is by going inside self, you might find some answers. You might find some knowings. You might find aspects of consciousness that come through for you. I can't tell you that. You have to find it for self. You have to find it. I could give you answers and tell you things, but it's not going to go in. I'm just giving you how I've moved forward in finding more of the knowing inside of myself and more love inside of myself, which has expanded to more love for all. And when I speak, I just speak my truth. And I could be sat with 50 people and 20 people, or maybe 2, could hear what I'm saying. And the rest could be fearful of what I'm saying or afraid of what I'm saying, or could be in a different frequency. And that's okay. But maybe 2 weeks later, I could speak again and they might see it. Because maybe from that, they might have been in fear from what I said, but maybe they went away and observed it. And then maybe they'll tune into what's true in their own moral compass, in their own hearts. You know how hard it is to give freedom to people? But I know how hard it is to give freedom to me, and how hard it was for me to love me, for me to sit and observe me. I know how hard it is for all, but it really wasn't hard. It was just making a choice. And at times I didn't make the right choice. But even then, everything was what it was meant to be. Make a choice outside of self or inside.
Do you feel that these, I know the answer, but do you feel that, what is your real name? Do we have names? I mean, for the sake of communication and stuff, I'm calling you Dean at the moment, but is that your real name?
How many lifetimes? How many soul contracts? How many aspects of self have I been? I'm a soul, and you're a soul. And it's now time for me to look at your soul, and for you to look at my soul, and for me to look at every soul on the planet, and look at each other through the eyes of a soul. We are all connected. We are all one. And we're on a journey of awakening through this process to find that from within self, which will bring the collective to a whole full understanding of we are all one. And many souls are here bringing many beautiful things through to help support humanity, to teach us how powerful we truly are, and the abilities and the gifts we truly have. But first, we have to stand in our power. And it's layer. And there'll be layers that I'm walking still in this moment to, that in 2 months' time won't look the same. And that's okay. Just the same as 4 months ago, I was walking with a different viewpoint. I just peeled layers back and peeled more layers back.
That's beautiful, bro. That's really, really beautiful. That is so powerful because we see each other as souls, not certain labels, fictional characters that have been created to create that distortion, which separates us really from that oneness, that celebration of being in that unity consciousness where, it's always embedded within myself that I treat people the way I want to be treated, and that's from love, from compassion, from sensitivity, and naturally sometimes because there's a natural order to everything, there is a symbiotic relationship going on out there as well, and I see it because I study nature and I see exactly how things interact.
Yeah, but can I just add a little layer to what you just said there?
Please do.
I treat others as I expect to be treated. But then what if I'm not treating myself properly?
Then you'll get that feedback.
Then I'm not truly treating others. I think I'm treating others the way I deserve, but what if I'm not treating myself fully right?
So is there a barometer?
It's a journey of inner standing from self, and as I speak, I'm still sort of processing some of this for myself. What layers is outside of self? There's so many more layers, of finding self. As I say, it's never ending. It's never ending in layers of things that we need to let go of. I can walk into a room full of 150 people, talk very openly like this with strangers, and I don't feel uncomfortable. But I come on a camera and I feel uncomfortable. It's just layers, just little layers.
Yeah.
So because I'm looking outside of self, these little things that are going on, I'm not seeing them layers.
Yeah.
Observing this is the most important thing. Finding full love for this is the most important thing. Because everything we do to this will expand out.
magnetized.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's very powerful, brother.
And the only thing we can truly help each other with is a perspective. A perspective. And your frequency, if you allow it to tune into what feels good when someone else speaks, will take in what you need and what perspective already sits within your soul. We're just remembering it.
That's very powerful. That's very, because it's sitting there at times dormant, waiting for an activation, right? So, and then you come across an individual, and you feel triggered, and bang, and it doesn't have to be for me, it's never an unpleasant experience. I even when I first started my business, I would invite people to criticize and look at possible pitfalls. But for me, I was very conscious of the fact that I had that empathy inside of myself. I always saw myself on the receiving end. How is that individual seeing me as a person? What kind of an experience are they getting? And what impression am I leaving? Is it a good one?
But do I need to observe it from that perspective?
Well,
if I'm
people,
being in my highest, I know from before, but if I'm in my highest truth, I'm speaking my highest truth with love. I don't need to. I don't need to worry about whatever other people think of me or the situation, because you just spend all your time worrying about everybody else that can't see from the consciousness of what I can see. And then also with others, the beautiful people that I've needed assisted from, like Brother Lee, I need his truth.
Wow,
I need his truth. I need
Yeah.
somebody to push my consciousness and expand me further.
Yeah.
Because he didn't do it. He's just speaking his highest truth.
Yeah.
I take that away and I go and observe that. And what I find after a bit of sometimes friction from the past, I observe it and see it.
Yeah.
And then I've got to integrate it. And the integrating part is the most important part. This is what a lot of souls are doing out there, running around with words, thinking they understand, but they're not integrating it.
No, brother.
And that's no judgment, because I did exactly the same for a lot of periods of time. And there'll be a point where they will stop. And the universe will allow them and push them into whatever scenario or situation they need to go through to get to that point. So what do I need to worry about outside there? Nothing. All I've got to do is show them freedom.
Just put a bit of music in the background. I was going to say, we've passed the hour mark. We've gone into, not that time exists, but I mean, I'm comfortable to go on a little bit more. Or do you feel, because I'd like to do another one day with you if you feel comfortable in the foreseeable future. So, like I said, we're going with the flow. I mean, are there any questions you would like to ask me? Because this has been relatively new for me. I felt calling for 6 interview that I've done to date, and thoroughly enjoying it. Really.
So let's go from. I'll bring a question to the table for you, Barrett. Okay, and this is a question that I ask a lot of people. So, what do you see in GPMS?
What
what do you see? What do you see? What makes you feel this is right? What elements to it all? What's your perspective on it? What does it make you feel?
Well, it brings connection. It brings connection, not just with obviously with oneself, but it brings the feeling of brotherhood. It brings the feeling of togetherness. It brings a feeling of unity. It brings a feeling.
Okay, does it bring the feeling, or is it that feeling?
It is that feeling. So it's like I don't need validity. I don't need. Although I'm enjoying this conversation, and I'm very comfortable for you to question this, and
Yes.
even if I feel that something still needs polishing, that's fine. I don't feel intimidated. And that's what it's all about. It's being open with each other. It's being transparent, open source. It's about bringing ourselves into that union of being together and not trying to defend. Because that's what was causing all the friction before, wasn't it? We just didn't feel comfortable. We felt the words like competition. We're in competition with each other. Like when we glamorize words like spirituality, what is spirituality? It's a story, really. I mean, it's like, I don't
But
know.
the two stories and two narratives there as well. The two stories and the two narratives. The same narrative and the same stories they used in the 70s.
Yeah.
Spirituality outside of self spirituality, let's get it right, and sex and drugs. Sex, drugs, and spirituality that was outside of self. There were tools they've already used in this narrative. So why are we all still falling for them and still them stories and narratives? Especially the sexual aspect of it, like your vessel is so sacred, especially the feminine, so sacred. I had emotional issues with shame and a few other areas, and as a young man and as a DJ, I was quite promiscuous. I own it. And I observe that from this perspective now, and observe that then, and I'm like, I would never throw my energy around in any way to any soul, anybody, unless that soul felt right. So these are all tools and mechanisms. Spirituality that's outside of self. Is it just distraction?
From my take, Ravali, is I spoke to Lee and Rick a little bit as well, but this is about us at the moment. It's our observation.
Yeah.
But, there is an operating system. If it's from pain, usually in your circle, people have the same pain.
Yeah.
Right? So if it's from love, you'll notice that everyone in your circle is about love. So when we're I'm not trying to do anything really, but again, words have they can have limitations, but it doesn't, because there's a frequency behind it. So again, people like using words to define things, but for me, GPS, it helps you to navigate in as far as like to bring clarity, to bring openness, to bring union again, to unblock aspects of you that whether it's an emotional one or a mental one, or even it could be a spiritual one, that the energies are not flowing in union. Because I spoke to Lee about this. Sorry, I keep bringing Lee because he's such an amazing person like yourself. In terms of as the system, how it used to rotate, and things were going anti-clockwise. Now it's going clockwise. So there is a correction. So that distortion has stopped. So the $1 million question was, I feel I know the answer to that. Was it an accident? What is an accident? Do you believe in accidents?
Do I believe in
accidents?
No.
It's a divine.
Yeah. I've witnessed it in the last 6 months. I can't question some of the things I've witnessed. Nothing's by chance. Nothing. Everything is the way it's meant to be, and everything will be the way it's meant to be. Timeline, it's already done. This world is already abundant. It's already free.
I'm excited, brother.
And our children are taking it to another level from and taking over the mantle of what we are doing at this point in freeing humanity. Well, not freeing them, allowing them to free themselves, you know, allowing the soul to make that choice. My role is to allow you to observe and hold a space of love. But if we're not observing and we keep looking outside, we keep thinking about what everybody else will do, we miss the bigger picture.
And when you're in that place of being so comfortable and neutral and calm and still, you could practically go anywhere, right? Because like I
do.
Good for you. But what I'm saying is that some people say to me, I didn't know you're religious. And I'm like, what? Were you going to church? And I'm like, and? What if I go to church, does that make me religious? Now, some people say, oh, you got a new wife. And I'm like, what? Because you spend a lot of time with her. You know, people are a bit judgmental. But if there's no truth in it, why would it upset me?
Exactly.
It could annoy me a little bit. You know why it would annoy me a little bit, if I can be really honest? Because I'm questioning where they're getting their source of information from. I could, but I'm not going to fall for that because I've raised my game even more.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that I can question the fact that something's led you to believe in something that may not be authentic, possibly. Yeah. But if you spend enough time with my energy, and you know, and be present with me, maybe you don't need secondhand information. You know, so I'm enjoying this because it's like we're getting intimate right now. You know, and people confuse that intimacy with I don't know what, you know, because I enjoy getting intimate with men, and what they're gonna say, I'm gay next, am I? Well, that's your story. You know, it's not, you know, that's not what it's about. But I've managed to. Can I love a man? Yes, I fucking will. Pardon the French. I can. It doesn't make me gay. But again, there's a misconception. There is something in place. Oh, I put my arms around Dean. We can hold hands, Dean, right? We feel comfortable, right? Do we care what people think? No. But
in any of it, we don't care outside of self in any of it. Let people be. They might view you in that judgment, in that light, in that moment. But guess what? 4 months down the line, once they've done a little bit more release and a bit more healing from within, that narrative from within themselves might look even more different. And this is the game. It keeps changing. The truth, as Rick says, keeps changing. But they only come from within you. Because I'll tell you, I could speak to you and tell you you are wrong. You're not going to listen. And then maybe I'm dictating to you in that moment and you feel like I'm telling you this is the truth. But when all the answers come from within all of us and all them answers are perfectly in alignment, who can question that? It didn't come from a story. It didn't come from someone else outside me. It came from within me. And guess what? I'm sat next to you and you feel exactly the same way. And you have the same love. And you have the same understanding of unity. Wow. That's Creator playing out through all of us. That is finding love for self fully and walking in our absolute truth with love. And it's just a journey of self. And everybody's on it. And anybody can switch off the outside or carry on observing the outside. It's their choice. And I'm not here to judge anybody for the decisions they make. But I can still speak my truth and my perspective. And this is my perspective. find the answers from within. And I will continue in my journey to find the answers from within. No one's playing any narratives. No one's doing anything to you. They're all playing their own narratives. And whoever's holding on to whichever narrative they choose to shares that narrative and that experience. I don't need to play any of them experiences because I feel like I've gone through all them experiences at this point. But that's not to say that I still haven't got work on myself to go through to fully stand in my full, absolute divine truth. Do I believe at this point that I'm fully there, completely on all layers of who I am? No, but it's on its way. And the more I keep moving through everything from within me, the closer I get to that being. So I can walk and help others to find that in them, in service to all. But I can't do that until I fully do that for myself.
Because once you're fully pledged and, you know, authentication, it's like the light is shining through you, projecting outward, and the frequency that's coming from consciousness to becoming super conscious. Of course, that sounds like labels and it sounds like a game, but it's not. It's raising the game, and people are becoming more aware of what? Themselves, ultimately, fundamentally, because that's all there is, you know, because it's through this that you project, because you're being of the creative nature. And you know, when people rid their sicknesses, is because they're no longer energizing and seeing the blockages, and because they're not storing that within their vessel anymore, they're releasing it. So once they release it, they feel light. They feel, and that word light is because it's an evolution. You're evolving to a whole. Your vessel, your whole is becoming more light, shall we say? But it truly is a beautiful experience, Beverly.
And this is the aspect of looking outside of self that's distracting you from the beauty of so many beautiful things. You know, I sit with a unique, beautiful soul that is bringing something beautiful through for humanity, whether it's healing, whether it's frequency, whether it's something unique to his purpose or their purpose. And I keep looking at all that negative stuff and everything out there that's going on because it's meant to go on, and it's part of the whole purpose, and everyone's going through their experience. I'm missing out on observing this beautiful person here, and this beautiful person here, who will give me a key or give me something, an essence that maybe I could observe and take inside myself. Or nature, for instance. The 7 months of my journey, I couldn't have connected. Like every element of an animal or something has just been in my awareness. And I've just sat for the first time in my life and just observed this animal. And it's taught me something. Could be small, could be big, could be unique. Could have helped me in many different ways. Could have helped me in a time when I needed to move through something within myself. But it's the observation of these things that is the key to it. Instead of someone telling me what it looks like, what this is, observe it. And this is something at the moment I find that like a lot of us are struggling to see the beauty in each other. I love the beauty of people, even the people that are a bit distorted. I just observe. And let's say I can feel a frequency, I can feel an energy from the soul, and I can feel where they needed a little bit of push.
Yeah.
So I'll speak outside to a perspective of myself and maybe hope that that individual may find an observation for themselves. And that wasn't perfect either in me and the way I presented it for a lot of periods of time. I own it. It's just progression and moving forward. And yourself, there's no mistakes. In this moment, I'm not making mistakes. Over there, 2 years ago, I wasn't making mistakes. I was where I was meant to be. So we have to let go of all this guilt and this outside. Just be. Just ask the honest question. Why can't you sit and be? Simple question. Why can't we go back to the simple? Why do we have to avoid everything with complexity? It's the same as GPMS. Why does it have to be all this complication? What do you want? You want freedom. You want abundance. You want to be able to choose and make decisions for everything in your life. Okay? Have we got that now? No. You don't need to know the full story of what's truly gone out and the manipulation on every level that's going on out there. You've got to sit inside yourself and go, what would I like? What do I want?
Because the stories that are out there, it's people lose themselves quite a bit, don't they? Because there's so much happening. It's like, especially with the television, because I've stopped watching TV. Occasionally I'll put it on just to see what's going on, or are things going to ever get better from the TV point of view? It's everything's own. But what I'm saying, but it's a story. But it's like, do you need that? Is that a tool is that a tool?
Well, I struggle. I seem to be on the night shift, let's say, within this whole ascension process that's going on the planet, and I've been like that all my life. Even though that's why I suppose I became a DJ for 20 years. And on a night time, there's not much to do, and I've recently in the last few months found myself I just can't even watch half the things I used to watch. And I'll tell you the honest truth of what I'm watching at the moment. And I switch YouTube on. I watch a gentleman walk around a market picking up a few antique things to flip on eBay. And it's just a guy walking around picking up a few nice things. And to me, there's no distortion in the frequency. It's just a nice guy making a bit of money and just being in his community. I can't handle much more than just basic. And even then, it's just numbing my brain a little bit in that moment on a night time when I'm just trying to release it. So the frequency of watching others and the other things that go on out there, I can't even. I'm not even in it.
So would you?
And I used to.
Would you be able to watch a film called like The Matrix or something, or Reloaded or something?
There was a time when I was watching a lot of things for observation because a lot of it's the truth. But just recently, it's sort of it's gone off. I've just sort of switched off it a little bit. Brother Lee watches gamers. It's just numb. It's just something numbing in the sense of nothing that's distorted to me. And I feel like that now. I'll watch a gentleman who's building a car, or I'll watch somebody who sells stuff on eBay and just goes to a market. You know what I mean? It's just very, just on the ground, no negative frequency in there, just a person who loves his passion and what he does. But then I turn the TV on and I watch something of a series lately and I'm just like, I can't watch this. It's
just to wrap up a little bit, can I just bring our attention to ley lines? I don't know how much you know about ley lines. How do you know if you are close to a ley line or you're on a ley line, or because ley lines are everywhere, I guess, right? So how do you know? There's certain grids over the planet, and there are certain locations, right? And for example, I'm located in Bulgaria. I'm not sure where you are. Let's just say you're in Portugal or Spain.
Yeah.
So the distance between where you're at and where I am, what's separating us is some kind of space between us. I mean, again, there's a story behind it, but once certain things are activated, the biotechnologies that are in place, you can just project, and I could be there without having to go on an aeroplane. Once the whole system is fully activated, or is it not activated yet? I mean, what's your take? There's no right or wrong.
Let's look at something you just said there. There was a word you used there that was a little bit distorted. You're there, I'm here. Really? Mm-hmm. If I say negative words in this moment about you,
I'm you.
About you,
yeah,
you're going to feel that frequency. So is there really a separation?
Distance, no.
Is there no, not really. And then the stories of aspects of what the narrative you're coming with, is it a story? We don't know. I know from my own perspective what activations I've done.
Okay.
But how many more beautiful souls on this planet have done many, many more activations? How much negativity has had to be taken from the planet itself, from Tara? And how many souls have been walking around the planet spreading their light? I don't know. Because everywhere you go, Barrett, you clean the negative energy. Everywhere I go, we clean the negative energy. Your vessel, every vessel is cleaning the planet. All the children are cleaning the planet with the game Pokemon. Just the game Pokemon. This is something that came to my awareness, what was going on when you've got beautiful children in that 12D pure energy that are through. They're playing a simple game called Pokemon, which tells them to go to a certain location to collect that Pokemon. That light being walks to that place. Everywhere on this entire planet, them children have been walking. Before we even get to us, the 4 million ones that are here to do this. So there's no one's everybody's playing the same role. You might have, you spoke before in regards to going into churches. There's many times when I've had an intuition inside me to go here, to go to this, into this church, go into there, go into that. Do I fully know what's going on? At this point, I haven't got words that fully encompass it myself. But I know I'm a light being, and I know I'm carrying light. And I know what comes in from the sun is expanding my light. And I know the healing I'm working through is expanding my light. And I know that if I go into a certain place, space, I'm going to clear that negative energy from that area. But I also know from my own activation work that my words, my intent to bring in has been going on too, through my words. So on that level, I know how powerful my words are, and everybody's words are, everybody's. But not many, let's say at the beginning of this, would take the prompt inside themselves that you have to go here and do this. I was one of the souls at that time that chose to do it, blind, not knowing what I was doing. Now I have a full understanding of what I was doing. But there's many souls on the planet that have had these prompts in many different areas of purpose that is unique to them and their efforts towards the whole. Because there's not one that's any bigger than the other. It's their soul, their choice, and all the answers come from within them. So there's many times you've been called to places, Barrett, and you've done the same work. You've walked in there with your love and your negative and your frequency and cleaned out negativity. And there's going to be a lot more work for us to do as we keep going forward while this frequency of what they're trying to create out there is going a little bit. Where souls like us are going to have to go into some of these darker spaces.
Yeah.
To bring this energy and bring this light and bring a little bit more balance to them areas. So for myself, you're saying going forward, I don't know what I'm doing going forward, but I could imagine at points maybe that might come about where I might have to do something, or someone else, I might have to go somewhere or be. We'll see.
It's a whole. It's like you're holding. What's the word? You're holding space, because if you're not your judgmental is not from negative, positive. It's like being neutral, being kind, being loving, and when you create that buffer or whatever you want to define, people come into that context and they feel that's when true healing takes place. If you're sick, but again, it's a story. We don't. I'm talking like this because it's a tough one. It's a mind bender, you see. But for some people, it's to put their mind around that. So do you have to put an effort to be loving? When we look at the more,
if we look outside at our children, do they put effort in loving?
Oh, it's spontaneous. It's spontaneous. I mean, the thing is, I'll be very transparent with you as always. I mean, when I'm having to think about something, I'm doubting myself.
Same here.
Really, do you think I should be doing that? Or should I then really I'm doubting myself. So best thing to do nothing, absolutely all the time. Don't even bother to do anything. We're not actually doing much anyway. But what I'm saying in terms of the vibration, the frequency that we put out, I'm staying very conscious of myself. I'm seeing myself all the time, and in an idea, this is a tough one to master in the sense that on your journey you're doing a good, well, not for reward or gain, but because you're not seeing, because someone said to me, "Can you not see this person suicidal?" And I'm saying, "No." Well, he is, and I'm really. If there's enough people that start labeling that person suicidal, you could possibly push that individual off the cliff, supposedly.
Yeah.
So it's someone else's stories that have snowballed. So I'm like.
So in that scenario, you could sit with that individual and hold a space of love, without judgment. Absolutely. Just hold a space of love for them. Just sitting there with the individual. You don't even have to speak. You're holding a space of love from the mind, from the words, from yourself. Is helping that individual. But we feel like we have to speak. We have to do all this. But it's the same as the whole collective of the consciousness of the whole. Or you're just sitting there doing nothing. Really? But what if I'm doing all this movement within myself and that's affecting the whole collective? We limit ourselves so much with stories and all these things, and we don't see the essence of simplicity because of all the narratives that have been pumped into us. Same as sickness.
That's the one that's been the most challenging for me, because if I can be very transparent as always, because that bless my dad. I mean, he's not in a good place at the moment. Both kidneys stopped working, but he's been talking about stuff like this for years. A lot of it is unhealed wounds and playing the victim. And I said to Dad as well, I said, "Look, Dad, you need to go to that place and try to understand. Because for me, all the bad things have been the good things. You know, I mean, when we're expanding, everything is expanding. It's not from a place of comfort. It's a place of knowing. It's a place of like going into the uncharted place and your observation. How are you observing? Well, what kind of intentions are you laying out? Is it about personal gain? Am I a vampire? Am I trying to? Oh, Dean, I want to know you more because you seem to be a really popular person. You'll make me look good, you know. So it's like, what are your intentions, you know? So for me, it's all about being happy. It's about connection. It's about being true. It's about being true to ourselves because everything's a mirror. You know, once you remove this, people sometimes see themselves in you. Sometimes they don't like it, maybe. But again, it's a story. It's, you know.
Yeah, but all that there is outside of myself. It's not in my control, and it's okay. Let them be.
Yeah.
But in myself, I have to make sure that my frequency is tuned in enough that I can feel and tune in to the right frequency at all times. But everything else, that's outside of me. I don't want to worry. There is no narrative outside of me and outside of that space that I'm even observing. And maybe I speak at times to provoke things on my Facebook or whatever, but I'm just trying to get people to ask a question. It's not my story, but especially lately with the children, that was an aspect of part of my journey that I had to let go through.
Very sensitive subject because for years I've heard about pedophilia. Okay, how real it is. From my perspective, is it possible it could exist? Yeah, I haven't seen it. There's loads of stories out there. I'm not saying it exists or it doesn't exist, but again, there's so many stories.
Yeah, but this is just another story again. Are we going to keep holding on to these stories? But it's very true when I've delved deep into these things. Are we going to keep going round in a circle and going past the stories, or are we going to start talking to what's real? Freedom. Well, are we going to start talking to the world we want and creating it? We can keep going over the narratives of what's outside ourselves again.
Yeah.
We know it's real. I know it's real. I've observed that space, and I don't feel like everybody needs to go in delve deep as I did into it back then, 7 years ago, 6 years ago. It's a very real thing, and everything that's very real out there, and we can see it, the manipulation in all these areas. Okay, but we're going around in circles if we just keep talking about all these same. We know it. Can we just not move past all the stories and get to the point of what do you want for you before everyone else? First you. And can we step out of this world? Them narratives and everything that's going on out there is not the new world. It's not. So why hold on to all these different narratives and stories and everything and truths? Because there is some truths in all that, yeah. But we want to go to this new world. What am I struggling to let go of over here instead of focusing on creating the new?
So we're saying also that freedom is a state of mind.
There you go.
You know, it's like heaven is state of mind because you create heaven on earth or you create hell on earth.
Exactly.
So we're procreating what we're holding on. So we've got to learn to let go and create new.
Uh-huh. But if we can't let go of it, how can we create the new?
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's
I mean,
that's your own journey within that letting go of it, you know, because the children aspect sent me on a big journey for a good period of time. And it's very real. But I don't, in my mind, I wouldn't want everybody to see some of the things that I've seen in observing and learning the truth to it. I don't think they need to go through that process because I physically went through, So can we just not step above it, knowing it's what's gone on and what's happening, and go to the solution of we can stop it all. We can stop all of it. Everything outside of ourselves, all the governments, we can stop every aspect of what's going on out there.
Here's a question. How can I, what can I do? What can I do as a person? What can I offer?
What can you offer?
Apart from being truthful, kind, loving, how can I have more of an impact on the world right now? What can I do? What can I do?
What can you do?
Mm.
Make sure that you're loving yourself fully on every single level. Because everything you do has an effect on the whole collective. That's what you could do. Find that full amount of love for self in every area.
Once I've done more than that.
What else can you do? Well, I'll be telling you what to do then, wouldn't I?
Yeah, that's powerful, brother.
Right. So it's not for me to tell you, really. What did I feel to do is join my brothers in arms and my sisters in arms and walk together, and allow others to bring freedom to themselves so we can all walk together as one. That's what I've chose to do. That's and also continue to find a full spectrum of love for myself. They're the two options. There's my choices. That's it for me. What are you going to do?
That is powerful, brother. That is so powerful.
What are you going to do?
Because some people forget some people, but some people feel that they have to do something outside of themselves. Like
I did for 4 years. For 4 years I did.
And he brought you back. Where did
I'm just going for experience.
Yeah.
I was just going for what I needed to go through from within to finally stop and go within. I did for 4 years, brother. I was pushing the narrative. I was pushing the truth, the stories. I was pushing the videos to many. You know, I had 4 Telegram channels teaching, showing people that like what they've been, the behaviour they've been doing on the planet. Then I was in a sovereign group, and then I was taking on the system completely within the courts. I've done it. I've protested with Save the Children. I've done it all. And the only thing I was fighting was myself. And guess what? They're still coming. So I had to find that love for self. So I found love for myself, which changed the frequency of love from within me. And now I'm making choices that is right for me without anybody else's influence outside of self. And I want to walk into, I'm walking into a free, abundant world with all my divine brothers and sisters. That's it. And I want to walk there with as many souls that feels they can walk that path. And any souls that choose not to, that'll be their choice. Yeah. But I'm walking side by side with free, sovereign, loving souls that want the best for themselves and all. No one's leading me. No one's governing me. I'm governing myself. And I ask everybody to govern themselves and lead themselves. And I let them be on every level. Every aspect of what any soul is going through, I let them be and go through the process. but I can give a perspective if they choose and ask me to. But that perspective will come with love. And I will try to empower them to understand that they are divine beings. I'm going to lead by example by doing it for myself. That's how I feel is the only way to help others.
That's great, brother. Really, really, thank you so much for being here and
You are welcome, brother.
Really appreciate it, and look forward to reaching out again.
Anytime, brother, because I feel like I've just stumped over a hurdle in this moment. See, the little fears inside. I've jumped over it in this moment.
And I certainly felt very, very comfortable. I mean, I honor and respect and appreciate the energy here, and every movement of what comes from here onwards is authentic and is of the highest. And so I'm excited. It's good. I walk
in service to the Creator, and I don't try anymore to control it. It is what it is, and I want the best version of my life. Just sometimes that best version of your life might not look the way you think it does. So we just have to let go, release.
Thank you, brother. Really appreciate your energy, and look forward to another session with you in the very near future. In the meantime, peace, love, harmony, gratitude, and see you very soon.
Really, gratitude, love, and light, brother.
Light.
Keep shining that heart, and I'll see you soon.
See you, brother.
Bye bye.
Take care. I think I can.